And yeah. So the webinar is about WhatsApp groups integration and some of the new things that we have introduced, integrations with Google Sheets in the groups integration. So now we hope it becomes slightly more easier and more scalable, and that's the overall context behind making those things. But before I go ahead, I would just like to set brief context um, about groups integrations itself. So yeah, I think just quick context. One of the like Glyphic traditionally by 90% of the NGOs is used to engage one-on-one using the organization directly to with the number of a individual user. So that's the traditional, like the most commonly used way where NGOs are using Glyphic. But we also saw, and for that, all of you have a Gupshup. You have an account with Gupshup, and we are using something called as WhatsApp Business API, and that's how 90% of the NGOs are using Glyphic. But there's also another way that NGOs are using WhatsApp, and that is WhatsApp groups. A lot of our communities are in WhatsApp groups, and we need to keep the community engaged by and yeah. There's a need to share messages. There's need to know about what is going on inside the communities, what kind of engagement, what is happening inside the WhatsApp groups. So WhatsApp Business API does not allow any automation like the official feature of WhatsApp, which is the WhatsApp Business API. It does not allow for any kind of automation to happen inside groups. So they don't, it's not an official WhatsApp feature, and but there was a need for automating sending of messages, scheduling things in advance, things like that. So that's how WhatsApp groups automation was introduced almost a year back. We introduced it in a very like the most basic features way. We found out about a third party integration called Metapi. So we are using their services, and essentially this is how it works. You have a bunch of WhatsApp groups that your phone number that your organization phone number is part of, and you have a need to engage these WhatsApp groups and get the analytics from these WhatsApp groups. So, and then that's where we integrated with a application called Metapi. So they have APIs, and so long story short, like this is Metapi, something that's happening in the background. But using this integration, what we are able to then do is there is using the Glyphic platform. You are able to send messages in advance, schedule messages to a lot of groups together, and whatever interactions are happening inside the groups, you're able to get the insights of those interactions, and we're able to create dashboards and whatever other information you need to see about the groups. So this is the basic context of WhatsApp groups automation. I'm going to now jump into the next bit about um, what's the new things that we have introduced and how the Google Sheet integration with this thing works. But before I go ahead, does anyone have any questions on what I shared so far? So feel free to raise your hand and share, or use the chat box, and then one of our team members can get back. But yeah, before I go, if you have any questions, I'll just pause for a minute. If you have no questions, you can also just put no questions and we'll move on quickly using the chat box. Okay, we have a question. Okay, no question. Okay, cool. Okay, so assuming no questions, so with that basic context, I'll just so WhatsApp groups automation, it helped us to send messages to in bulk to lots of groups. So one of the if you have engaged WhatsApp groups in past, at one time you can send message to forward message to 10 groups, and if you have suppose like 50, 100, 200 groups to engage, send them common messages, then it becomes like a manual task. So sending messages to all the bulk of groups, that can be done through the Glyphic platform. Then scheduling messages in advance, So also WhatsApp does not allow you to schedule messages. So with WhatsApp groups automation, we were able to do that in version 1, and then getting insight. So this is what is already there, and we are building on top of this. But one of the limitations that we had was we could not customize messages. Um, we could not customize messages based on the group names or based on some specific, suppose like if you had 10 groups, but you just had to make sure that and if the group name was, let's say, based on geography, you have to send one message but just change some minor detail about that message, like hello to Indore, hello to Bhopal, hello to Punjab. And but the rest of the remaining message was going to be the same. Then we couldn't do that in the present one. And then a few other things like that. And this was one of the use case, because like NGOs we have observed have usually groups either based on similar organization, similar geography, similar language, similar schools, for example, was one of the common use case of the NGO that are using right now. So they want to be able to have some sort of customization. So or and add some other group preferences. So we couldn't do that. So essentially, this is what we have tried to solve. So I'm just going to introduce. We can with the new development that we have done, we are able to use Google Sheets to route all the messages to groups by using some logic in the flow, like some basic logic, and I'll get to that. But so imagine Google Sheet is becoming now it can become like your repository of content or messages, and you just have to update Google Sheet, and then the same flow can pick up the message based on the preference or based on the group or based on whatever condition that you have, and deliver that message to a bunch of groups. You can customize messages based on group names or any other characteristics or like preferences that you assign to a group. And and in order to do that, you can set any preferences, any other background information that you want to keep to the for the group. So so this emerged majorly from one of the requests that we had from an NGO called Arogya World. So I'll explain their use case so it helps to get a bit more idea, clarity. And then the next bit of the webinar will be about showing like by doing. So I'll show you guys how this thing all can be set up and you can use it. Um, okay. So context about Arogya World. Arogya World does programs like it started off by sending SMSs in the past, and that became really popular. And Arogya World, they send SMS basically like or any messages that are like a reminder of certain health conditions. So like keep people on the right health track. Prevent diabetes, for example, is one of their prevention of diabetes, and those people who have diabetes, then sending them weekly reminders on how to manage diabetes, and then just general awareness on diabetes. That's one of their mandates. And so they like moving forward for the next 1 year or 1.5, 2 years. Their aim is to engage 1 million contacts, 1 million users, and make sure that up to 1 million users get aware about diabetes and become part of their program. So they have this need to send weekly messages, and they have like a 62-week program of sending the relevant information every week, and then also getting some information back. And it has to reach 1 million contacts. So obviously, if you have been using WhatsApp chatbots, sending notification over WhatsApp Business API, we have to get the template approved, and each template, it's either categorized as marketing or utility, and then each template costs a certain amount to send that message. And if you think about that, imagine if you had to send one message to 1 million users every week. And if that was even if that was utility message, which is like zero point 0.3 paisa, the cost is almost I mean there's I mean the you can't it's not feasible. It's not something that can be done. Like no one is going to fund that program. So one of the solutions that we had was instead of using one-on-one chatbot, the Arogya World, how they're approaching this program now is that they will onboard users onto their WhatsApp groups, which are language specific. And then so each group reaches a certain threshold, like 1,000 or like 900 users, and then they start sending them the messages. And as you know, with MateAppy, the pricing, it's not per message based, it's like a monthly flat subscription fees that we have to pay. So like about $30, which is about 29 to $30, which is about 1,800 to 2,000 rupees, approximately that much. And then and that's the price that they have to pay for sending as many messages to as many groups as they want. And then so we could see that potentially for touching large scale of users with the messages, this feels like the more economic option. And then finally, the need for WhatsApp, the Google Sheets integration came from because 62 messages had to be translated in four different languages. That meant that there was like 350 odd different messages that had to be sent, and then just the present way it was done, it could not be done. That would have meant us creating three different small flows and then scheduling that in advance, and then long story short, like I explained, it just became, it could not be scaled easily. Although like groups automation helped to automate certain things, the scaling of an operation to send messages to engage community was not feasible. So I'll just explain the solution right now. And yeah, if you have any questions, if you think I'm going too fast, just feel free to raise your hand or use the chat box to kind of let me know. If you want to repeat something, if something is not clear, then I'll be happy to help. Or if you have just some confusion about, and if your use case forming in your head and you want to just share that out loud, feel free to use the chat box and we can have that conversation. But yeah, so Google Sheet became the message repository. There's a flow that picks up the message based on okay, just counter like 1, 2, 3, 4, and relevant message gets triggered to the collection, and then like the same flow is like just sent every day trigger to the particular collection. So long story short, this is what is being done. I'll just show you what that Google Sheet looks like. So for example, there's like a key over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it goes all the way down to 62. And then there is a message for English, for Hindi, for Kannada, for Telugu and Tamil, and and you can imagine like this, it can go horizontally as many languages as you want. And then how we use right now Google Sheets for reading messages to send one-on-one WhatsApp, somewhat similar concept. But yeah, so like you have a Google Sheet, it picks up based on the counter. So like let's say counter is 1, it will send the first message and then it will update the counter. And then the same flow is triggered the next week at a certain given time for that collection. And then if the counter is updated, so counter is now 2, and then it'll pick up the second message, third message, and so on. So you can imagine that like if you have a pre-schedule of messages that are there, something that you know you're going to need to send to a WhatsApp group in advance, then and you have like the calendar of that sorted already, then you don't have to yeah, like you don't have to create new messages, and then this becomes like an easy way to kind of engage. Um, yeah, so before I go ahead, like any questions, any thoughts on the use case itself, anything? Otherwise, then I'll go into the demos bit of this thing. If you have no questions, you can also feel free to just say no questions, and then we can move on.
I think just I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is regarding like if we have like messages on the like as in the Google Sheet form, we can send out the messages. I understood that. But
Yeah.
for example, in the program, we have different multiple medias, right? We have text messages followed by some videos. Can we also do that with this in this
Yeah.
format?
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah. So yeah, I think similar to how we use Google Sheets and media, sending media in one-on-one chatbot. So essentially one like for a particular counter, you'll have a message as well as like a media link, and then
Okay.
and then we can use the media link in the send message. So yeah, it's possible. Like long story short, we have the documentation, so I can share that with you. But it's possible, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Tejas, can you again share how it is done? So, like the counter bit, can you just repeat that?
Yeah. So I'll get into the demos. Like, I mean, I'll show you.
Okay.
So maybe that will answer your
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Okay, okay. Okay. I'll kind of like explain you now how I'm going to do. I mean, like basically I'll kind of like walk you through like two, three use cases that I've thought about to kind of like contextualize this. And if I'm going too fast or if it's getting this thing, please stop me and I can repeat. But essentially, okay, let me just share my screen again so my entire screen is visible. And then I'll be going from one thing to another. Um, okay, I hope you can see my entire screen, like my all other open tabs also. And and let me know that I'm not a crazy person because I have like less number of tabs. And I can see the names also.
All tabs
Okay.
are yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Cool. So here is a example. So I've thought about like let's say, imagine a school like an education based NGO use case where you have suppose different groups for geography based, and also you need to send them language specific content and also grade specific content. So like there's a school called LUG Indore, and then you have a group of LUG Indore which is 8 to 10, and then there's another group where there's 11th and 12th graders, and then this is English. There's Bhopal 8 to 10, Bhopal 11 to 12, and English, and then there's going to be another Hindi, two more groups for Hindi. So just to give you an idea of, okay, like this could be like this is this is how we might if you're thinking about engaging groups, this is how you might want to give then like name the groups so that it's easier for you to segment them and into multiple categories. So like based on geography, based on grades, based on language, so that eventually you're able to create collections which are targeted. So, I mean, I would invite you to join the groups, but then it would be, I don't know if, like, I don't think that would add any further value. But the idea is like they have created these groups, and these are all, how do you say, like, so for example, um, so this is that 11 to 12 English group. This is and apart from like, so right now, two people are part of this group. That's me and like the phone number of the that's this one is me, and this is the organization phone number, for example. And so this is the message, this is the contact that's going, this is the organization phone number which is linked to Glific, and that is going to send all the messages. If you would like to join the groups, you can, and then I could remove you later. But I don't see that it's going to add any further value. You can see from here right now, and so I want to spare your WhatsApp. I'm sure you are already part of lots of groups. But if you want to join, you can let me know, and I'll share you the links so that you can see what happens in the group. But essentially, the message is going to come from the organization phone number, which is linked to the Glyphic account. So yeah, the first step is and yeah, like the prerequisite is the group should be created, and then the group should be put into collections. And even like prior step to that is your Glyphics should have this WhatsApp groups thing enabled, and you should have this in your providers thing. You should have Mate API account enabled. Okay, so I don't have that admin access to this account, so you can't see other details, but there are just like the Mate API link should be made. So essentially, you should have the WhatsApp groups enabled over here, and you should be able to see all the WhatsApp groups that are associated with your account, and sending and receiving messages should work. So, for example, right now I'm sending a message from Glyphic to this LIG Hindi group. I'm just saying Namaste. So I've sent this message. I should ideally get this message in from the yeah. So from Glyphic, I should get this message saying that someone in the group has like this word, like the organization is sending this message called Namaste. At the same time, if I send a message to as a user to any of the groups, it should start reflecting in my in the so just to establish that everything is connected. I'm a student from Bhopal. I'm just saying that it's Bhopal 11 to 12. And I've sent, as a student, I've sent the message into this group now. So it should come up on the Glyphic platform. So yeah, this message has come as I have messaged this thing. So just establishing that connections is made, and so this is the prerequisite. Now there's a prerequisite, and okay, we have a question before we go ahead. Messages can be sent via Glyphic of WhatsApp on mobile. Shiba, do you want to unmute and share your question really quickly?
Yeah, I'm just wanted to know, like, this platform doesn't look like a WhatsApp that we use. I mean, we use a WhatsApp bot, which has
Hmm.
a base on Glific. So this platform looks like a Glyfix, which we
Yeah.
have a different team who is handling it. So the messages should go through Glyfix or from the phone.
Messages will, I mean, like, you can send on through phone as well, but the idea of using Glyphic is then you will be able to send to all the groups in advance. You can schedule and you can do all those things.
So that
So
means we need to take access of Glyfix from the person who is handling it.
yeah, yeah. So basically, yeah, that's what you'll need to do.
Okay. Got it.
And yeah, we'll have to enable one more, like basically there's like a option for adding groups automation to your thing. There's no extra charge for that. So we'll
Mhm.
enable that and we'll share you the how you can start using it. That's something we can share with you if you're interested. But yeah, like so right now, anyone who is not using groups, they won't see this option WhatsApp groups. For them, it'll be just chats, flows, tools, all these things will be there. This groups option won't be there. Um, but yeah. So all these things is possible through the Glyphic platform. Okay. So first prerequisite, your group should be formed. Your people should be part of the groups. And second is that once you have the groups and the groups are picking up, you should create the collections based on how you want them to be targeted. For example, I have created a collection of just 11 to 12. Suppose if I want to just target 11 to 12 English folks, then 8 to 10 just English. So as you can see, I have in this both Indore and Bhopal related schools, but just 11 to 12. Similarly, for if I just want to target Bhopal, so like I have all the things like there's Bhopal English, like 11 to 12, 8 to 12, and then Hindi also. So just creating collections as per or however you need them to target, that's like the second thing. And this is fairly simple. So we'll quickly go ahead now to the main bit. So for example, now let's take the um, first use case. We want to send so the premise I'm introducing here is like where we want to introduce a new contest. Let's call it student of the year contest that we want to do across all our schools. But we want to make sure that okay, Bhopal and Indore, there's some separate messaging, also Hindi and English, there's some separate messaging. So sending sequential messages to the groups, that's like the first this thing. So introducing about a new contest, sharing more details, and then so like these are the separate messages that we want to send. Um, right. So like we already know the calendar in advance. We'll first introduce the contest, then we'll share some details about the contest, like who can participate, who can't, whatever winners types, and then we'll announce the winner. So like these are and we'll try to use just the Google Sheets for this bit and just one flow. Um, so in order to accomplish this, there is something called as we've introduced something called as group variables, like how each of the contacts have contact variables. Now, for each of the groups, we can create new variables, counters, or any other information. So it can be used like contact variables for groups. It has to be initialized, and I'll show you all those things. And then we have introduced a new node called update WhatsApp group node. So to make the changes of the state of this group, and then it can be used as a lookup function in Google Sheets. Okay, so it became suddenly very complicated, but I'll just show you what this means. So for example, now we'll go to this sheet which we have created. right? So now we have so we have this content. Hello. So like this the key 1 2 3, these are the three messages, this is the content, and on the fly I'll just add like content Hindi, and I'll just for I'll add some, yeah, um um yeah, second message है ये is. So as you can see, there's content in English, there's content in Hindi, all coming from the same group. And now we have a use case ki we want to send English content to English groups and Hindi content to Hindi groups. But yeah, like, and it should be sent to both the like Indore and Bhopal, both the geographies. So with that as the premise, so first we have the Google Sheet, which has the content. Then we have second thing, which is the flow. So create a variable for group and initialize using the background flow. So I'll just tell you what this means. Since we are using this counter variable 1 2 3, and we want to make sure that, okay, if the counter is 1, then send this message. If the counter for the group is 2, then send this message. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that we create a variable which is called counter and update that to the WhatsApp group. Set its initial value. So I'll just show you what this means. So like there's a group, and if you go to the details, view group details, uh, in details we can see there is no like, you can see just collections it is part of. Now I'll just do one thing. I'll start a flow which initializes some value to this thing, which is like which is what I explained the demo. um Initialize the variable, and there's nothing happens, like, so the flow is nothing but in the flow there's nothing, it's just like it's like a background job that happens, right? Like, there's no send message, so no message will be sent to the flow. But if you go to the group now, we can see that for this particular group, now the counter is set to 1. So now we can start using now you can start using the flow. So now if I just start now I'll explain the demo, like the sending message wala flow. Yeah. So we are linking to this Google Sheet. We are using something called as like this result to look up. So like this one is right now containing value 1 for that group. And this is the message that this is the one that pulls the message and sends the message. And then this updates the value for that group by updates the value for the counter by +1. So we'll see that now. So for this one, if I start the demo 1 flow 2, which is send message. So so I can see the like student over here, this chance for you to, this is the first message, as we can see the first message over here. And it should be sent to the WhatsApp group as well. One second. Yeah. So 3:32, this message was delivered. I hope you can see my screen. The first message was delivered. Now, now we'll see the details of this flow. So this group alone has gone through that flow. That means so the counter has been updated to 2. Now, if I send the same flow to this group, the second message should go, and you should just pick up the second message from that group. from that Google Sheet. So now the second message went. So basically, we don't have to change the flow. The same flow is we are triggering the same flow. Right now we're using manual triggers, but you can imagine that we can do this also by just setting like triggers on a recurring basis, like every day or every week. Trigger the same flow for a particular group of particular collection of groups, and then the same flow runs, and the this thing gets updated, and based on the sheet, the next message is delivered. So you can see in the group I have got this message second time, second message. And over here the value of the counter will now be 3. And then if I start it for the third time, the third message I should get, which is like the winner's message, which I had already scheduled over here, put over here. And yeah, and then the value of the counter should be now 4. Yeah. So this is like a quick demo about how we can yeah, okay, so yeah, so this was a demo. Yeah, quickly, like if you have any questions you can go ahead. Yeah, yeah, Naveen.
Tejas, if I have to shoot first message to n number of groups,
Yeah.
then the counter will increase, right? So how we will tackle that?
um so right now I just showed with a group of one example, like
Mm-hmm.
sorry, can you repeat your question? I don't think I understood it very well.
Okay, the first message, the key point is one.
Yeah,
I have to shoot this message to n number of groups,
the first message, like this message.
right?
Yeah. Okay.
So
Hmm.
because the counter is increased at the first group when the message will be shoot, the counter will be increased, right? And
Yeah.
then it will come to the next group, then the counter will start from 0 or 1. Sorry, from 1 or 2.
Yeah, because in the flow, so like if you see the second flow, so like this is demo 1, flow 2. So in this, the counter will keep on increasing. So like if it was first 1, if we start it again, then it'll be 2. So basically, yeah. So the first step for us to use any of this for Google Sheets is that we have to create the counter and initialize it to the first value, and then we don't have to use that flow again. Then we can use the second flow onwards, and then second time we just have to use this flow, and it will keep on incrementing, and the next message will keep on going to the flow to the group.
Sorry for interruption. I didn't understand because see, I'm having 5 groups. I have to shoot this the first message to all the 5 groups.
Yeah.
Then I need to create different 5 flows. I guess you are speaking like no.
No. Yeah, now let's take that example. So let's say you have 5 groups. So for example, we have right now we have collection of groups, right? Like we have this LUG 8 to 10 English. It has 2 groups, right? Like LUG Bhopal and 8 to 10 English, correct?
Right, right,
So you have to send to these 2 groups.
right.
So for this collection, our first step will be we'll set a trigger of the first message, like sorry, the first flow, which is to initialize the variable called counter to these groups.
Hmm.
So we'll first create that trigger, and which will send to both the things. So like will so this flow doesn't do anything. It just sets the initial value. Like it creates a counter variable for these groups and sets it to 1.
Okay.
Once that is done, then we can for the same collection, then we can recurring schedule the second message. So because we can do it only at the interval of like 30 minutes, 5 minutes. So I'll just schedule this for 3:40 p.m. uh, and Okay, so we'll set for both these groups, which is all English. So yeah, we'll quickly go to the groups. For this English one, uh, uh, right now it's 38. There say you can see, right, like there's no counter variable created
Right.
for this group. So at 40, the counter variable will get created and it will be set to 1.
Okay.
And I'll just
So
yeah.
got it. All the groups should be in one collection. Then this flow will work.
Correct. Then we can set to the
Okay.
entire collection. I just explained by going into one group,
Got
but
it.
same thing can be done at a collection level.
Okay.
And
Got it.
I'll just tell you what happens if we try to start like try to start like so as you know that for this group right now that counter variable doesn't exist,
Hmm.
right? Like the counter variable doesn't exist. But still
Yes.
if I try to set, if I start to start that flow, if I try to send that flow which has a Google Sheet link to it,
Hmm.
so right now Google Sheet failed because I have set it up this way that if the counter variable is not there, it'll go into failure and it will send this
Hmm.
message. So
Hmm.
obviously we don't want to do this. I just set it up so I can show you all. But yeah, like the message won't get sent. That's the point because the counter variable does not yet exist for this particular group.
Right. So
Where
it's a limitation like if we are having n number of collections, let's say three collections, then we have to run the flow for three different collections. Then only it will work. But if I want with a single flow in all three collections, in the three collections there are having 9 groups, then it will not get in one shot, right?
no, I mean you can create as many collections as like as many groups inside one
Okay.
collection as you want, and yeah. So you can do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
all I'm saying is, so the limitation is the counter needs to be created first,
Okay.
and it has to be, and you have to make sure that with whichever whichever collection of groups you want to use the Google Sheets, for those groups, whatever the counter variable has to be created and it has to be initialized,
Right.
and that has to be done through this, like this type of flow which does not send any message. It just does this background job of creating and updating the counter. So no message will be sent, but something called initialize type of flow has to be created as a first step in order to then use counters to send the messages to these groups at a later point.
Thanks, Tejas. Yeah, got it.
Okay, thanks. Cool. So I think it's 3:41 now. So what I'll also do is I'll just set up another trigger for those English groups. So that at 3:45 we can see that to all those groups that message would have gone. Mm, yeah. Does not copy. So yeah, so each of these has two groups, right? Like LUG 11 to 12 has two groups, 8 to 12 has like groups from so yeah, so we can select as many collections as we want in one shot, and that collection can have then multiple groups. So we can essentially send it to a large number of groups from just one shot like this. So right now I've selected two groups, but actually so it'll go to like four groups now. So yeah. So yeah, we should see that at 3:45. So yeah, till then, if I can also take up questions. Yeah, there's a question in the
Tejas, then this
yeah,
is something similar to how we trigger a HSM template to different collections, right?
correct.
Okay. And one more thing. So you told you had a case study of that organization. So do they have another chatbot including this, or is it only this that they use? What I'm trying to ask is, so this will go from another number, right? Um,
Correct.
So do they have another chatbot also? So this is a very great feature, but my only concern with the parents, the stakeholders we work with, they
Mm.
shouldn't get confused with this and the chatbot that we already have. So
Yeah,
is there anyone who has already used it that way?
yeah. So it will have to be two separate numbers.
Okay.
It can't be a single number because as soon as the number has chatbot, like it's a one-on-one chatbot,
Ah,
then it cannot be added to groups.
got it. Got it.
So yeah, it'll have to be a separate number, and so essentially, yeah. But the in like the part about, like, I mean, one thing to, like, you can look at it in this way, that to your stakeholders you don't have to tell them that it's a chatbot,
Hmm.
because for them it's like this organization is sent, like, like KEF se message aa raha hai, like we're getting the message from KEF.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it could be like any, like, like if you I mean, most of the times it's just like a random number that comes up, right? Like not everyone has saved your number.
Hmm.
So it can be like a normal number. You can give it any normal WhatsApp name like KEF, KEF. You don't call it bot, just call it like a KEF number or whatever, like as
Yeah,
such.
got it.
So that,
Okay.
because so it's like, because it's happening inside the groups, for them it will be like koi one some person from KEF is messaging and
Okay.
ask. So you don't have to refer to this thing as a bot. We just,
Understood.
yeah, in fact, we don't call it a bot. That's why we're calling it like groups automation, and we're trying to figure out what should be the best way to go about it. So, but we are calling this as a virtual number, but it's not a virtual number, it's an actual number. It's part of the groups. You can have it on your WhatsApp, and any one person could be using this number also. Just that that number will be used to, which will be linked to MetaPay, and then that can be used to send messages like through APIs. Yeah. So you can see, like 3:45, this message went to these four groups. The first message again at 3:45, the one which we had scheduled. Yeah. Yeah. One more hand was raised. I just saw. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a question regarding the integration bit. How do we integrate the WhatsApp group feature? Because right now I don't see it on the sidebar.
Yeah.
And do we have to get a new number for MateAppy, or how does that work?
Yeah. So I'll send you the documentation for that, Harpreet, so you can
Okay,
follow.
got
Yeah.
it.
But
Sure.
yeah, it does require having a new number
Okay.
and having it on WhatsApp.
Okay.
And that phone number should be part of all your groups already.
Got it.
And then we make the link with MetaPay, and then we link that MetaPay, like we just link it to the Glyfic using the, like, like we just enter some credentials, like, and then so that once you then and then we enable this from background for you guys, so that then you can see this all the, like all the groups that that number is part of, that groups will start showing up over here, and you can start getting the messages going to your BigQuery, and you can start so that you can then create the analytics.
So basically, first step from our end is to make sure that the number is added in all the groups,
Correct.
and then reach out to you guys and sort of start the process.
Correct. So I'll share the documentation, so this will be explained
Okay,
properly.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Okay, I think someone is doing a good job of answering the chat questions, but if that's not helping, please unmute and share so we can take that up as well.
Tejas will be also covering the pricing bit of it.
Yeah, I can cover the pricing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, cool. So I mean, I can quickly explain the pricing.
Tejas,
Yeah.
Shiba here from Saka.
Yes.
So is it if we try to get the access for this with a new number, is it not included in the annual payment that we do, or like it's a new one?
Yeah. So so I think I can explain the pricing. So just give me a minute. Um. uh, Groups automation. Okay. So yeah. So essentially, the extra pricing will be paid to MateAppy. And that is like about some $29 or $24 per, yeah, about approximately $30. That's like per month. That will be paid to MateAppy only. Then if you're already using Glyphic, there's no extra charge for using this feature. So this will be continuing your annual subscription. I mean, like, so yeah, no further cost paid to Glyphic. But since we are using MateAppy as the like the third party app, so your organization needs to have a subscription of MateAppy. Uska details are shared over here. You can follow this documentation, but essentially the extra cost per month of 29 dollars, I think, which will have to be paid to MateAppy. So that's the extra cost.
Uh, Tejas, I have a follow-up question with this.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned before that like for this feature, it is good for scalable purpose, like it is more effective when we are catering to a large population, right? So
Correct.
right now, if I use the Glyphic, I send out like use the WhatsApp bot and send out messages or the program to the users. For each users, there's a particular number of like amount that gets deducted with each like each trigger, right? So
Correct.
you're saying that for this, that amount will not be deducted. Only the $30 per month ka whatever for the MateAppy I would be spending,
Correct. Correct.
irrespective of how many users we are adding to the groups.
Correct. Correct. Irrespective of how
Oh,
many users you're adding to the group and how many groups you have overall.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can send like different groups, we can send different programs, right?
Correct, correct. So as long as you have named them correctly, I mean, named them appropriately and created collections which are like specific to your needs, right? Like, so basically now, like, for example, like Hindi, English, right? So if I've just created those collections, then I can just target Hindi groups, send them only Hindi specific things, or like any other, or like Indore and Bhopal, for example. So like if I want to run different program in Indore, different program in Bhopal, then I can do that.
So this is basically collection only, but in collection we have subgroups.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you can basically like then it's just the matter of figuring out of how your programs are structured, and based on that how you need to group your groups together.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Welcome. Yeah. Any further questions? If not, I'll explain one more use case, which is like, I mean, basically this is the use case, and then you can figure out. But yeah, I'll just maybe explain like what was the thing? Sending custom message based on the group names. And yeah, so this I can explain, and then we could possibly call it. And then if there's any further questions I can take. Cool. So sending messages based on the group names. So this is like one use case where suppose you have suppose there's like you want to send indoor specific or like yes, if you have school specific collections or geography specific or any other program specific collections, and then sending including those program names. So we have introduced like this thing called WhatsApp WA underscore group dot label. So using this variable in the as a lookup thing, we can then write the yeah, then we can create yeah. So yeah, use this to like it checks for, okay, what's the name? If the name is this, then send this message. So yeah, like so step one again, like having like a Google sheet which has the group names exactly as you have written them. So in order to get this list, you can how you can do this is basically there is in your BigQuery. Once we activate this feature for you, then WhatsApp groups karke there is like extra table gets created, and then if you see the preview in that the label, so this is containing all the labels. So for example, so if I just query if I just query all the labels like label yeah, from the WhatsApp groups wala thing, then I'll get a list of the I'll get a list of the groups, and I can copy this or export it to the sheets and then pick out whatever are the ones that I want. So I mean, just giving you in a way of that, okay, exactly how you can, so that you don't mess up the names or any typos in the thing, like extra spaces, whatever. So you're able to get exactly as the one you want. So like you just copy this to clipboard and you can paste it in your Google Sheets and then you can sort out whatever else you need. So essentially you have the names as the key, and then you can have any of the messages. So like even for example, I have just created like this way, key, this is the final message that I want to send, but like let's say for indoor 11th and 12th I want to put hello 11th and 12th graders. For 8th graders I want to put hello 8th and 10th graders, and then there's like a Hindi and English message as well, and then there's a thing. So and this is the final message that I want to send. So like this is the body of the message, which has like Indore over here for, because it's the Bhopal group, then this has Bhopal over here, and then yeah, and then similar thing over here. Right. And then this is the final message that I want to send. So I've like with I'm just able to use like the Google Sheet functions of clubbing 2 3 fields together, and then this final message gets created, which I want to send. So I'll be aiming to send to all these groups these three separate these three all these messages, all of this in one shot, and just by using the names. So the step one is like we have this entire thing ready with the group with the help of like the group label. I'm able to pull the names. Then step two is okay, before it gets too late, what I'll do is I'll just trigger the thing. I'll set the trigger first, and then I'll explain the flow. Okay. So triggers and okay, I'll just quickly create. Sorry, getting confused. Yeah. So demo 2. Yeah. Mm, 4 o'clock. I think we may be just running 1 or 2 minutes overboard. Um, Bhopal. So I want to make sure it goes to all the things like and so in Bhopal there is 2 English, 1 Hindi. In Indore there is 2 English, 1 Hindi collections, and 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, like that. So like all those, so that the trigger is set. So I think so and the flow had already created. So I'll just show you guys that flow. So that flow is this demo 2. Okay. Okay, so this is that flow. Basic, just like basic Google Sheet. I'm selecting that like what the sheet that I've created. I've linked it already, and then I'm selecting row based on the group label, and then based on the group label, I know that the message that I want to send is in message column. So I'll just since I've saved the result as sheet. So this is the basic WhatsApp groups, like linking the Google Sheets wala thing. So this is what the flow looks like. And then we'll see at 3:45. I mean, like at 4 o'clock, our the message should have gone to, like, the message which is put over here in 11th to 12th in Indore. This message should have gone. 11th and 12th graders, are you from Indore? And this one. For 8 to 12, it should be saying hello 8 to 12 graders. You're introducing student of the year Bhopal and whatever. And then first LUG Indore Hindi. It should have this Indore naam, and the message should be in Hindi. Similarly for Bhopal. And this is just like one of the things that because we have stored the message in this thing. But yeah, like, so we'll see that at in 3 minutes. Yeah, so essentially that's the thing. While we wait for 3 minutes, if you have any questions or like some things you might want to clarify, we can talk about it. Um, will we be also able to track the number of members, check the messages? So so for each message, Shiba, we get what is called as read receipts, and that depends on whether I as a user have enabled those privacy settings, right? Like so I may or may not have enabled the read receipts for myself. So if suppose out of 1,000 people who are on your WhatsApp group, if 100 people have disabled that, then for those 100 people you will not get that if that person has read it or no. But for if those who have enabled that red receipts, like there is tables within this thing, like so reactions and things like that. So even we are able to track now what has been the reaction to when, like when a person reacts to a message, so things like that. So we are able to track and yeah. So like so BSP status will show you the read receipts. Yeah. So yeah. So we can help you to create like like how do you say um so we can see, yeah, like so sometimes, yeah, so it depends on like sent, received, so delivered, seen. So you can see like sometimes for those people who have enabled it, it also shows seen. And then because we are tracking all this thing, then eventually we can help you to create like a dashboard with which you can get that thing. Yes, Deepali, we can enable, because we are tracking a lot of data, we are able to enable things like unique users interacted in the group. I'll just show you, because I can't show you a dashboard of an existing NGO because of reasons, but this is like a screenshot of what's possible. So just to show an example, like we select a date range, and then this kind of shows like what's the total number of users in that range, in that group, and then also things like how many messages were sent and received in that group, so like sent by you as well as received within that period in a group. And then we can make it slightly more drilled down in terms of like like how many unique people have responded in that group, how many people have not ever responded at all. Or all those things we can see that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, sorry. So it's 4 o'clock. I'll show you guys that the message. I hope the message have been delivered. And then if you all can just stay for a minute, we'll close with the feedback of this session. Okay. So okay. So as you can see, LUG, I think I got at 359. This is the um excuse me. Yeah, this is the Bhopal group. Okay, something. Yeah. And then this is the Indore group 8th to 12th. Then this is the Indore group 11th and 12th. Okay, Google Sheet has failed somewhere over here. And 8th to 10th Bhopal. So I think for the Hindi ones, it has failed. And I should help you to figure out why I should have done this before. But essentially, yeah. I'll figure out and I'll tell you, but yeah, that's the overall thing. So yeah, I didn't test like the final thing अच्छे से, but this is how we can kind of like get to know, not about the failure, but this is how we can do it, and then one sort of trial and we can fix this one. But yeah, those are the features, and this was the demo. And if you have any further questions on this one, happy to kind of take right now. Else it'll be really helpful if you can share the feedback, and you're free to yeah, drop off.
I just have one like
Mm, mm,
question slash comment.
yeah,
I get the use case for this. I think
yeah.
pretty helpful when we have events coming up. We don't
Mm,
even have to do so much customization in language. It will just like blast in the groups. So that's
mm,
great. What our use case specifically is that we have project calls with nonprofits and volunteers. So we
mm,
want to send them reminders that, hey, your call is coming up, this and that. But the project name is separate for each party. The time is different for each party, and the name also is different, like the project name, right? So I've been
mm.
trying to integrate that through Google Sheets, but I've not been able to. So could you please direct me to like the right documentation?
Um, okay. So you want to send it in WhatsApp groups, right?
No, no, like singular messages because it's just the nonprofit and the volunteers taking the call.
Okay. So this is like one-on-one chatbot related.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Uh, okay. to right resource. The right resource is basically like I mean the documentation, but maybe I think it just like probably needs us to understand your use case slightly more detail. We might be
Yeah.
able to
So,
help you out.
if you're free sometime, maybe next week, we can maybe set up a 20-minute chat and I can explain you that.
Sure, sure. Next, yeah, like so just like next week we are on a like a sprint with and we're inviting some NGOs. Maybe what will help is if you can put it in a doc, like if you have a like so let's say for example like let's take your organizations. Okay, like we have five organizations for each of these five organizations. This is the schedule that we want to send messages at.
Okay.
Um, so that may be helpful, and then that way I can kind of like help you. One of us can help you to figure out ki how to do this. So like suppose you have 5 or 10 organizations, how many organizations? And if you have the schedule for that already in your head, ki, okay, this is how it should happen, then we could potentially help you to figure out. Yeah.
What I was thinking that we could just put messages on the Google Sheet itself,
Yeah.
update the time, update the date when it has to go out, and the time it should pick up. I just because our calls keep getting rescheduled and they get confirmed very late. I just want to just update the Google Sheet and make sure that Glyphic just picks up from there on.
Got
So yeah, but what I'll do is I'll like explain you in a comprehensive manner in a doc. I'll send an email, and if you can maybe look at it and pass it around in your team, that should be helpful.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Works. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Tejas.
Yeah. Yeah. No problem. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Yeah. Please, do we have feedback from folks?
Yes, some of them have shared, but I think like few of them, like 50% is still like
Can you
they
resend
might be
it,
shared.
please?
Okay, let's try to.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're able to share feedback, yeah, and stay back and if you have any other questions, happy to address them now.
Are you able to say it now? Like 50.
No.
Mhm. Okay.
Hema, you wanted no Shakha Consulting wanted the onboarding steps, right?
Yes.
Tejas, I'm stopping the recording now.
Sure, sure.
Okay. Maybe then I'll share this.
So since you're an